The Denver Broncos will go 12-5 in 2022. Hello everyone and welcome to Denver Broncos Syndicate, part of the Sports Syndicate family of channels where we are dedicated to bringing you content about our favorite sports teams. I am your host, Gage Madrid. Before we jump into my official 2022 Denver Broncos record prediction, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who helped us get to 800 subscribers. Well, it's that time of year where everyone seems to be releasing their annual NFL record predictions. It's always fun to look back on these at the end of the season to see how hilariously wrong you were, but I digress. Recently, I sat down and picked a winner for all 272 NFL regular season games. In today's video, we're going to break down the Denver Broncos schedule game by game and pick a winner. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I believe that the Broncos will get off to a strong start to the season. I actually have them starting 3-0. I'm going to save most of my thoughts on the Week 1 game against the Seahawks for my official game preview, but I do have the Broncos getting the dub in Russ's return to Lumen Field. Week 2, I have the Broncos taking care of business against the rebuilding Houston Texans in their home opener. I don't think there is much explaining needed here. Week 3 is where things could get a bit more challenging. Although I do have the Broncos beating the 49ers on Sunday Night Football, this game could go either way. The 49ers have one of the best defenses and run games in the NFL. The wild card will be the performance of second-year quarterback Trey Lance. If Lance struggles, the Broncos should be able to come away with the victory. Week 4, I do have the Broncos losing to the Raiders in Las Vegas. The Raiders, of course, brought in several new faces, including superstars Davante Adams and Chandler Jones. They also brought in hated former Broncos head coach Josh McDaniels. This adds even more spice to an already intense rivalry. Since this is a home game for the Raiders, I'm going to give them the edge, but I do not believe that the Raiders are going to sweep the Broncos for a third year in a row. More on that later. The Broncos then have a short turnaround for Week 5 where they return home to face the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have a very strong roster, led by 2021 league-leading rusher Jonathan Taylor, an elite offensive line, a strong defense, and new quarterback Matt Ryan. This game is definitely going to be a test in the trenches for the Broncos, but I ultimately have them passing the test and coming away with the victory. Week 6 is another primetime game for the Broncos as we travel to Los Angeles to face the Chargers on Monday Night Football. I do have this game penciled in as a loss for the Broncos. The Chargers seem to be taking full advantage of Justin Herbert's rookie deal, trying to build a championship team. The team made a massive trade for Khalil Mack, who is now back in the AFC West. They also signed former Patriots corner J.C. Jackson in free agency, and brought in former Rams Sebastian Joseph Day to help fix their leaky run defense. We already know about the plethora of weapons that Justin Herbert has to work with, including Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Gerald Everett, and Austin Eckler out of the backfield. I think that the Chargers are going to start out the season hot and cool down in the back half. Because of this, I think the Chargers will get the Broncos in this one. After this game, I have the Broncos going on a bit of a hot streak, winning 7 of their next 8 games. Week 7, we have Zach Wilson and the Jets at home. The last 2 trips to Denver for the Jets have ended in shutouts. Although a third shutout in a row is unlikely, I do expect the Broncos to take care of business against the New York Jets. The following week, the Broncos travel to London to face the Jacksonville Jaguars. Although the Jags do have plenty of experience traveling to London, the Broncos still have the way better team. This game is also personal for Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett. Hackett was the former offensive coordinator for the Jags, and in 2018, he was unjustly scapegoated and fired after their offense couldn't move the ball with Blake Bortles at QB. This was just 1 year after Hackett made Bortles look like a competent quarterback on the Jags' run to the AFC Championship game. Although the coaching regime in Jacksonville is different, you know that Hackett is probably going to want to stick it to Jags owner Shad Khan. As is customary after going to London, the Broncos have a bye week in Week 9. Week 10, the Broncos travel to Nashville to take on the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are a team who I feel are primed to take a massive step backwards in 2022. They lost their #1 receiver in A.J. Brown. The guy they drafted to replace him, Treylon Burks, looks nowhere near ready to assume that role. Ryan Tannehill seems to be on his way out of there, and I'm not sure if Derrick Henry putting the team on his back is a sustainable formula anymore. With all of these question marks, I do not think that the Titans are going to be anywhere close to the threat that they once were. Pencil in a win for the Broncos. Week 11, we are back home to get revenge against the Raiders. Although the Raiders made all of these splash moves in the offseason, they failed to address many of the weaknesses on their roster. They are easily the worst trench team in the AFC West. Their offensive line is in shambles, and although their edge rushers are top tier, their interior defensive line is a massive weakness. They also still have major issues in the secondary, especially at safety. Although I have the Raiders beating us in week 4, I believe that the Broncos are going to come back and kick the snot out of them in week 11. This is going to be the point in the season where the Raiders' weaknesses are going to get exposed. I do have the Broncos' win streak snapping in Baltimore against the Ravens. With a healthy Lamar Jackson, the Ravens figured to return to their previous dominance. They are probably the best trench team in the NFL on both sides of the ball. Their secondary is top tier, and their rushing attack is second to none. The game is going to be in Baltimore in December, so the weather is probably going to be cold, wet, and nasty. This is a game where both teams could rush for over 200 yards. This is the exact brand of football that Baltimore excels at, so I feel winning this game will be difficult for the Broncos. Week 14, we finally get our first chance to match up with the Kansas City Chiefs. Russell Wilson versus Patrick Mahomes at Empower Field at Mile High on Sunday Night Football. Despite losing Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs still figure to be as dominant as ever. The Broncos have lost a whopping 13 games in a row to the Chiefs, dating all the way back to 2015. This game, the streak will end. The Broncos have done a pretty good job containing Mahomes on defense. The issue has been our offense being incapable of outscoring him. With Russ at the helm, that will no longer be the case. In their lone matchup, Russ outdueled Mahomes up in Seattle to beat the Chiefs in 2018. Now that the Broncos are actually capable of moving the football through the air, look for us to finally get that monkey off our back and get our first victory against Patrick Mahomes. Week 15, we have an opponent that Russ is quite familiar with in the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals' offseason was surrounded by nothing but drama with the Kyler Murray contract saga. Even after Kyler got paid, there was still drama with the independent study clause in his contract. The whole mess was simply a bad look for all parties involved. In the Cliff Kingsbury era, the Cardinals have started each season red hot, only to finish ice cold. This season, their superstar wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for the first 6 games, so starting off hot is going to be a challenge for them. The big dip in production for the Cardinals offense last season came after DeAndre Hopkins went down with an injury, so hopefully for Arizona, it's not the same case this year. Entering the Denver game, the Cardinals could be down and out, so I feel this is going to be a win for the Broncos. The following week, the Broncos will once again travel to Los Angeles, this time to face the defending Super Bowl champion Rams on Christmas Day. This is going to be the first of 2 straight losses that I have marked down for the Broncos. The Rams are very familiar with Russell Wilson. Ever since Sean McVay's arrival in Los Angeles, the Rams have had Wilson's number. Defensively, it seems that the Rams have figured out the best way to slow down Russ, so I anticipate this being a tough game for our offense. On top of that, the Rams are the defending Super Bowl champions and have a better roster overall than the Broncos. I believe that we will lose this game. I then have us losing again week 17. After we beat the Chiefs week 14, they will avenge that loss at Arrowhead. The Broncos will then enter their season finale against the Los Angeles Chargers. Historically, the Broncos have at least split their season series with the Chargers. The last time that the Chargers swept the Broncos was 2010. The Chargers also have yet to win at Empower Field in the Justin Herbert era. I do not see that changing here, and I believe that the Broncos will pick up a victory to secure a 12-5 regular season record. In my full 272 game regular season prediction, I have the Chiefs, Broncos, and Chargers all finishing with a 12-5 record, with the Chiefs coming out on top in the AFC West. Tiebreakers have Denver finishing in second place. After losing their final 2 games of the regular season to the Rams and Broncos, the Chargers finish with a 12-5 record and just missed the postseason with the 8th seed. I then have the Raiders finishing 4th in the division with a still respectable 10-7 record. Although they made multiple splash moves this offseason, they still failed to address their biggest weaknesses on the team, and on top of that, they may have hired the wrong head coach, but time will tell. After 6 long years of being in the world of suck, it seems that winning football is finally back in the Mile High City. I'm curious, Broncos country, do you agree with my record prediction? And if not, where do you disagree? Drop those comments down below, I would love to hear from you. Be sure to leave a like on this video, as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. And while you're at it, be sure to follow me on Twitter at Gage Madrid NFL for even more Broncos coverage. And for now, this has been another episode of Denver Broncos Syndicate. I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out and let's ride.